Hello, gamers. Hello, listeners. Before I start this show, I want to say thank you to everybody that's been supporting the In-Game Boss program, a network of gaming and other variety shows. And just to let you know, the In-Game Boss podcast is going to be going through a different structure now. At the beginning, we kind of hit more of the serious notes, but now that we got that out of the way, now it's time for us to hit these super crazy fun topics that I love creating for people to listen to and get their ears kind of twinkling a little bit. So I want y'all to enjoy the show. We got wild topics from here and on out from the future episodes. Fun guests are going to be coming through. You know, I've been busy with a bunch of other shows getting that structured up, and now that that's kind of laid out and done, now I can start hitting these wild, fun episodes. So sit back, enjoy your ears, and enjoy the In-Game Boss podcast. Before I start this show, I want to say that fandom is a strong thing in gaming. When you're a fan of something and you love a game so much or love a series so much, you want to show your appreciation, either by art, either by telling stories about it. You know, fandom is a strong thing. But when it comes to creating a video game, they don't tend to get too far. Some succeed, some don't. But the one company that makes sure you don't get far at all is Nintendo. So I guess my question is, why do fans make so many fan games based on Nintendo property, knowing that, you know, they're going to get shut down very soon? And what are some games that that were unique that fans made based on Nintendo characters and whatnot? Let's find out. And welcome to the podcast. I am your in-game boss, aka your retro activist, Jeremy Evans, and this is the show that's right underground of the podcast network. And in this office, we like to talk about a bunch of stuff and fun topics and everything. So first things first, I want to thank everybody for showing your support, listening to the show. You know, we're slowly growing. I'm trying to push out as much content I have. I'm trying to come with great material. You know, I enjoy doing this podcast. I enjoy doing the program. I enjoy doing stuff with my friends, other people that are part of it. You know, the goal is just to keep going and keep being challenged. But with this show, my goal is not only to challenge you, but challenge myself on the topics that we will be talking about. So before we start the show, or start our topic, really, let's get into what I like to call our news and update. So I'm gonna let this beat right out for a second so I kind of get myself in the mood and everything like that. And okay, so on news is kind of short because there's really nothing popping. I mean, you had PAX is happening, so there's a lot of games are coming out, but I don't have time to talk about every single game on there. I just want to talk about one particular game, a game that I grew up playing since the Sega Genesis. I think it's my favorite beat 'em up game of all time, I believe. It's probably the rival of Double Dragon. That's Streets of Rage. So Streets of Rage 4 got announced. And that's incredible. It blew my mind. I'm excited. It's, you know, Sega's part of it, but there's a different developer doing it. And Streets of Rage is bringing back that old school beat 'em up side scroller, but the art direction is just like beautiful. It looks hand drawn, looks like a comic book coming to life. These characters look like they have aged a bit. We don't really know how far from the third one to the fourth one was. It might have been many years because, you know, Axel got a beard like no other. Like he's been in the streets too long, right? And then you have the other homegirl, Blaze. She looking luscious and whatnot, and she look like she's been building up. The streets taught her well to keep her fists up and keep hitting. And those are the two iconic characters that we see that are continue on. And we've seen that from Streets of Rage 2 and 3, where, you know, the cast is always changed except your main girl and your main guy. And we're seeing more stuff in here. So basically, I'm going off base of reports and some interviews and some, like, you know, some feedback from the people from IGN, and they were talking about base behind doors when they saw the game and whatnot. They say the game is really good. It has that Streets of Rage feel you want, but they were talking about the artwork is really good, but sometimes certain items blend in so much with the artwork that it's hard to see that kind of stuff. I don't really have an opinion on that because it's one of those I need to get my hands on it and play it to kind of see what they feel. But Hopefully they'll work on trying to make those items stand out a little bit more so it's easy to see that stuff. Hopefully on this game that I would love to see is more of the returns back to the streets that we know, but also bring us to new parts of the neighborhood or where they're at. And brand new places to bring that artwork to life. I'm hoping the 2 alternative characters are going to be like amazing. I hope they're like, really cool, unique in their way. You mostly get, a fast hitter, but can't really hit too hard, and you got a big wrestler that can hit hard but really slow. Hopefully we'll get someone kind of like that, or something brand new. Maybe another female, because all the Streets of Rage has always been only one female, so maybe we'll get another female part of that group. We only know the villain so far is a woman that looks like she has a snake around her neck and whatnot. And, I can't wait to see what other villains are going to be part of her crew going after whatever their in-game, their in-game is and everything like that. And yeah, I'm just really excited for that game. So that's it for the news part. And so let's go straight into the updates. So the updates is basically telling you what's going on in the network, what episodes have been out and whatnot. So, let's start out with Area 44. Area 44 has an episode out about Gamescom. So if you want to hear that show hosted by John Robles, it's me as a co-host. If you want to hear more about what's going on, what happened at Gamescom, and what games that shout out at us that we want to talk about, definitely check that out. Shenmue 3 was probably one of those things that, that got me going. You'll hear a fun conversation with that. And if you like that episode, definitely check out the episode before. That's about Battle Royale. So definitely check those episodes out. They're really good. Gaming Halls of Rivalries. Right now, the part 1 is done, but I do recommend still listening to all of them when you have a chance. There's only 6 episodes out. And Gaming Halls Rivalries, basically 2 iconic characters we put together, and we talk about how they rival each other in the gaming industry. Not battle to the death, just what they have done and what are the features of those characters. So, you got Mario and Sonic, you got Princess Peach and Princess Zelda, you got Sam Fisher, Snake, and the list goes on. So definitely check out the first 6 episodes, because part 2 will be coming back real soon. We're almost wrapping it up. We got one more episode to record, and we'll be coming right back at you, continuing part 2. Bond Never Dies also wrapped up the first 6 episodes. Is during the Sean Connerys, and basically that was with me and my co-host Travis Hanna. By the way, Game Halls Rivalry is my co-host on that one, is Curtis Sism. But in this show with Travis Hanna, Bond Never Dies, is basically we're revisiting all the Bonds and really trying to see if we still enjoyed them when we were little or the last time we enjoyed them. We're going through the whole story of James Bond and talk about what's going on in the movies, what our opinions on it, what stuff that kind of stand out to us. Did Bond complete his mission? What do we think of the villains? What do we think of the Q branch? What do we think of the Bond girl? All that stuff wrapped up. And we just finished the last movie with Diamonds Are Forever. So definitely check those out. Those are out right now. And all these shows I mentioned are bi-weekly shows in a shuffle. So every week there's always 2 shows running. So definitely check that out. And then, of course, on my last episode, if you want to hear more, what is the show all about, the in-game boss program, check out my last episode 6, where I talk about how I got it started, where did I start at, what are my goals, what are my futures for this, spoiler, just want to have a great time doing podcasting, but all this stuff. So all this going on, and we have more shows coming in. I can't discuss them right now because I'm slowly working on it, and I want to make sure they're ready to go before we start recording those. But they are not around the corner. I will tell you that. They're not around the corner, but they are coming soon. And I'm also working in collaboration with another studio to work on some awesome ideas. I am working on YouTube stuff that I can't wait to get started and show y'all this. Everything is just going smoothly. Just trying to work on trying to get the best material, the best way to do these shows, best way to present them to you, best way for you to come in and enjoy the in-game boss program. So with that, let's take a break. And when I come back, we're going to talk about fan games. Nintendo wants to shut them down. Why do we keep going? We'll be right back. Hey listeners, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I'm your host, Jeremy Evans, aka your in-game boss. And I want to let you know that this is not the only show you can listen to. We got great shows like the In-Game Boss Podcast, the Gaming Halls of Rivalries, Bond Never Dies, and Area 44, and more to come. So if you enjoyed this show, make sure you follow and subscribe to the network so you're always updated with the newest episodes and update on any other news that happens in the In-Game Boss program. So, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the show. Hi. If you love video games and you love video game icons or characters, then please walk down the gaming halls of rivalries with us as we go through two iconic characters that rival each other in the gaming industry. Gaming characters like Mario and Sonic,
or Lara Croft and Nathan Drake,
or like Dante and Bayonetta,
and Master Chief and Samus.
If you enjoy these characters, then please visit the Gaming Halls of Rivalries as part of the In-Game Boss program and enjoy fun information and fun stories and the future of these characters. Thank you. And welcome back to the In-Game Boss podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Evans, aka your In-Game Boss. And it's time for you to hear our topic. So let's go ahead and head down to my hideout, or aka my office, and let's discuss more about our topic. So, Nintendo. You know Nintendo. They are known for famous stuff like this.
Do a barrel roll.
Like this.
Hey, listen.
And like this.
Hello.
And people love those series. They love those series so much that fans want to show their love for it, right? So they want to show you by making artwork, making music based off of it, making, everything you could think of to show their love for something they enjoy so much. But when it comes to gaming, that's a different path. We've seen so many people make so many fan games to different kind of games. You got your Sonic, you got your RPGs, you got Mario, you got Pokemon, all that stuff. And I mentioned those last two because they are Nintendo products. But some of those games some of them get by, some of them don't get by. Sonic games, I have played a lot of fan game Sonic games, and I don't see them getting shut down. I think Sega's pretty lenient with their characters. They're not, I guess like the more people that play Sonic, the more they'll look at our product, I guess. But Nintendo, they're very strict. They're very strict about their properties, and they're very careful about who's doing what, because it's an image. Nintendo has an image, and they don't want anything to ruin that image. And so maybe the fact that when people make fan games off of it, and they're not connected to that scares them maybe. Like, you make a Pokemon game, you're using our characters, we're afraid you're going to use them maybe in the wrong way, or we're afraid that you're going to do something that might ruin something that we might have a project working on. There's a bunch of factors in this, and I can't give you the answer. I can only give you kind of ideas what I think it is, right? So, but does that stop fans? No. There's so many fan games out there that fans want to make so many games for Nintendo and show their love, and when Nintendo shut it down, you would think fans learned that lesson, but no, people still come back up and still making fan games. I've seen so many Pokemon games shut down. I've seen so many Mario games being shut down. I've seen so many Zeldas being shut down. There's so many games getting shut down, but we keep seeing more and more and more, and people are just not giving up on it. I'm not saying in a bad way. I mean, if you have a passion and you want to make a fan game like that, go ahead. More power to you. As long as you're prepared for the consequences that are going to happen. So when Nintendo, they dropped their little policy, that one thing, that DMCA, that stands for Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or in gaming terms, don't make me call authorities on you. That's basically what it stands for in the gaming world. It scares a lot of people, and they want to shut it down, because the last thing you want to do is get sued for making a game that you love so much, that you so much care about. That sucks. Because Nintendo's hasn't only shut down fan base, and they shut down people people doing ROM games based off of it. So Nintendo is just not playing around. They just want to, keep it clear. Like, hey, we know you guys love our product. Buy our products. Don't make fan games. So why do fans actually make these games? Like, what is their purpose of this? There can be a lot of factors. One, like I said, people just love those games. They just want to make it happen. And they do it in a different way that makes them stand out. They might do a demake of a fabulous 3D game. They might do a 3D game based on a 2D game. They might do a game that has a twist. They might make that game into another structure. They might make a game like Metroid, make it a more horror game. They might make a Kirby more of a roller coaster ride game. I'm just throwing out stuff. Even like Smash Brothers, they made someone made a 2D Smash Brothers, but it got cease and desist, right? There's so many things. Other people make those fan games as a way to get their name out there so they can probably show maybe a game that they have been working on, right? So let's say that I want to remake, maybe I want to remake a Mario game. What if I want to remake Mario 3 and do it my way? And then I get these awesome feedbacks and everybody's loving it. And I'm getting this attention. But then I'm showing them, okay, if you like that, here's the original game that I'm actually working on. I'm working on this fantastic game that I really want you to care about, not so much as this Mario game I made. It's basically showing that we can make a great game, but we want to show you by showing you a property that already exists and show you what we can do, then get you to come and check out this other one we've done. I've seen this before with a bunch of games. There's a new Sonic game that came out, I think last year, and this is a take on Sonic going time traveling, has to do with Metal Sonic. And then this guy ends up making it's talking about another game he's making that's totally original, to connect to that. And it's basically just a way to get more feed coming through for people to look at their company, look at their studios and everything like that. So, and I think this year actually is the most I've seen Nintendo actually like really shut down a lot of games. The last game they actually shut down was a Pokemon game that was kind of like a Super Mario Maker. And Super Mario Maker, for people that probably don't know, is a game where you make your own Mario levels. This is a thing that everybody always wanted, right? So they don't have to do this behind Nintendo's back or do it with Nintendo properties. Like, I want to make my own Mario game. This is the game to do it. So when these people decided to do it with Pokemon, hey, now you can make your own Pokemon world and you can put your own characters in there. It's a Pokemon Maker. That sounds amazing. I'm not a big Pokemon fan, but that's amazing for everybody that wants to create their own Pokemon game and structure the way they want to do Pokemons and stuff like that. But Nintendo shut it down within I think in a week, because it just got raved. And that's another thing too. It's like when a game gets so big and it's a Nintendo product, of course Nintendo's going to notice. And they're going to shut it. And then they're going to shut it down. It's just plain and simple, and there's nothing to get around that. And I think that was just a creative idea for them to maybe think about. And I think Nintendo as they shut these games down, they really need to take some notes off of that, because a lot of these gamers quote and say that the reason I like making these Nintendo games and these games like this is because these are what the community and people want. They want these games. They want you to do stuff with these properties that haven't been done before, and we're showing you this. And sometimes Nintendo will take it into consideration. Maybe they won't take it into consideration, and I'll be going down a couple of games that I noticed that got shut down real quick, but it was a cool idea what they were trying to do with it. But based on that, if I was a person that loves games so much, I think it'd be dangerous to make a Nintendo game, because just the fact that it's just I would hate to put so much work into something and then it gets shut down immediately. And it doesn't mean that you couldn't continue making the game. I mean, I'm pretty sure in your household, if you want to make a Nintendo game, go make a Nintendo game. It's just when you show it to the public is the dangerous territory, right? No matter how many warnings you have, like this game is not for sale or I don't want to profit off this, it doesn't matter in Nintendo, because the goal is the image, right? So I wouldn't make a Nintendo game and show it to everybody. I would probably do it personally. But it sucks, right? Because you don't want to make a game and then you can't show it to anybody, right? You want to show people that you have the love for this game. Now, this can go back and forth in the argument of, hey, if you're a really good game developer, then, you should make a game and the game will show itself, right? And that's a great point too. But sometimes so many developers out there, it's hard to get your name out there, and especially in the gaming world. And, Kickstarter is a great place to really advertise your game, but if you don't make money, then your game is probably not going to get made, or you have to look at something else and everything like that. So, that's me going around talking about that. But let's talk about some games that, actually were really cool and what are the what are the outcomes of those? So, for one, there was one game by this guy named Winter Drake. Winter Drake is an interesting guy. He is basically a lover of Zelda. He loves Zelda, and based on what he has said, he said that I could have spent months building the game without advertising it and then release it publicly. However, this would mean I wouldn't have gotten any players' feedback before release. And frankly, without feedback and attention, I wouldn't have a motivation to continue on. So he made this Zelda game, and it's based on Breath of the Wild. And it's basically what he did was he took Breath of the Wild and he changed it back to the old Nintendo first Zelda game. The first Zelda game ever made, right? He demake it all the way down to that. So basically, it's Breath of the Wild, but an NES version. And it's called Zelda, the Breath of the NES. If you say Breath of the NES, you just sound silly. So he made this game. It's beautifully done. It's HD. Of course, the character itself doesn't, he doesn't start out with clothes or anything. He starts out with a blue tunic and a shield. And, he gets the traditional, sword and everything like that. But when he goes out there, everything kind of changed where now anything that you hit, you can use material. You hit a tree, it turns into wood. You use that wood. If you hit a tree with apples fall, and that's how you replenish your health. So he shows that it is possible to make a demake of a Breath of the Wild, and it was actually looking really, really, really good. And there was new ways to kill enemies. There was new ways to travel around. The inventory was huge. How to make juice and stuff like that, how to make items for enemies to fall for and bait. It was a really cool idea, but sadly enough, Nintendo stepped in and told them to shut it down. It's sad to hear, but it did get his name out there, and he is working on other games that got people's attention. And I'm taking this one for a great example is because maybe Nintendo should think about that. Have you ever thought of maybe going retro with some of your games? Take these games that were phenomenal and just throw it under, give it a loop and go back in time with it. I think there was one project a while back where the people that were not the people, but a fan base that loved Link to the Past wanted that same treatment with Ocarina of Time. So Ocarina of Time got the Link to the Past treatment, and it looks beautiful. It looked amazing. It looked great, but of course it got shut down. But it was a great attempt to try something like, hey, maybe Nintendo should take a look at that. I would be interested in playing Ocarina of Time in a Link to the Past style. I think that'd be really cool. And this Breath of the Wild edition, making it an NES style, seems like a really cool new way to play Zelda. You can easily make easy money to me if you can just make these short little small games, give them that DMAX, and just see where it goes. I think a lot of the people love seeing new games get that retro treatment. Hell, Final Fantasy VII got a demake, and it looks like a Final Fantasy VI game. That's pretty incredible that people take the time to actually do that. Now, I granted new developers are trying to work on new games. It's all about putting new games out, new products, and new originality. I understand that completely, but it doesn't mean you can't make a studio dedicated to people that make these iconic games into a retro style. I think it'd be a remarkable idea, and it'll be a new way for people to play those retro game styles. Your newcomers understanding the old ways that we play Nintendo games. So that's just my full opinion on that. Now, another one is Pokemon Uranium. This is probably the most popular Pokemon game before that build your own Pokemon game that recently got shut down. It's called Pokemon Uranium, and it's funny because I would think there'd probably be a Pokemon Platinum after that. But this was a pretty remarkable, cool game because these people really worked hard to build this world and use these characters. And some of these Pokemon characters were almost exactly the same, but they put a little bit more change, extra. Some creatures had extra tails, so there was a little bit more difference, extra arms, and you kind of look at it as they were new evolutions to those characters. And I think they were just trying to make themselves a little bit different without getting in trouble, but it didn't really work out. And I think also on top of that, It could be just the name. The name can really ruin a lot of stuff because, like, if you took away the Pokemon game and you call it something else, Uranium or something like that, I know we could put two and two together, but it doesn't feel, maybe it doesn't have a Nintendo stamp on it. And maybe Nintendo can still maybe get you on, you're using characters that look like ours shut down. It's a possibility. It is a possibility. But maybe not as bad if you put the title on. Anything you put a Nintendo gaming title on it, you're probably going to be looked at very heavily by the community and the developers and a publisher that's looking at it like, they're using our title for that. And you could have named this something else, right? So, and another game that happened, some people tried to do combinations. No Man's Sky and Mario. Someone made a 2D game with Mario and No Man's Sky. And it was basically Mario on a ship going to these random planets like you would see like in Mario Galaxy and sit there and explore with it. And it looked okay. It really looked more like a Flash video game per se. You can look that up and see what I mean. But of course, that didn't go well. Based on the gameplay I've seen, it looks fun, but it looked like it can get boring really quick. But it was a cool attempt to try of Mario going to these unknown worlds and seeing what's out there. And that would have been a really cool idea. An open galaxy where Mario can just hop to these different worlds and just see what's out there. New beans, new way to Goombas, all that stuff. Because maybe Bowser's trying to destroy the universe. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. And so it was an interesting attempt, but of course, you know what happened. So another one that happened was Metroid 2. And it's called another Metroid 2 remake. And everybody remembers that one. That one really caught wind. Like everybody was talking about it. Everybody's downloading it. Everybody loved that game. And it was a great game. It looked like a Super Metroid / Zero mission. And it's beautifully done. The gameplay is great. The music's phenomenal. But of course, we didn't know that Nintendo was working on a Metroid 2 at the same time with Mercury Stream or Mercury Steam, one or the other. They're the same people that worked on the Castlevania. They're actually now considered the Metroidvania studios, basically, because they have done a Castlevania Metroid game. But they were working on a Metroid 2 for the 3DS. So that was just a funny coincidence. And it's funny because the people that made another Metroid 2 remix, they were not upset. They were actually kind of flattered because I think they got compliments from Nintendo. And I think that maybe one of those people got hired. Maybe, don't quote me on this, but I think one of them got hired on there. I could be 100% wrong. Or they just got recognized and they maybe they're working on something with Nintendo. But the fact that, like, sometimes making a fan game could get you noticed and you could go to bigger things. So that's a great way to look at it like that. And then another one is a Super Mario 64 game that someone wanted. They wanted to make an HD one, and it looks like more like Mario Sunshine coming into Mario 64. It looked beautiful, and the only stage they had was the Bob-omb Battlefield stage, and that's like the very first stage where you fight the King Bob-omb on top of the mountain. And they just show you this open land where Mario can scan around. He had all the tricks. The game looked gorgeous, everything like that, but of course Nintendo shut it down. And so all these games that I'm mentioning had a lot of potential and had a lot of great ideas, but sadly enough, the problem is that you put a Nintendo title on it. You use a Nintendo character, and it's sad that these games got shut down. So to answer that question, why do fans keep making these games even though other people get shut down? It's probably because they're just fans, right? They're just fans. They just want to make these games and get their name out there, show that they love this game. And I want to show you how much I love it. And also too, I want to show that the other games that I can do too, based on something I love so much, right? And it's understandable, when you love something so much, you just want to show your love for it. But it's also dangerous because, if you end up doing something really bad to a property or something like that, you can get in severe trouble for that. And it's funny too, because you can get away with that with probably music. You can get away with that probably with some artwork. But when it comes to gaming, that's a dangerous place because it's something that game is from. It's a game. You're doing a game based on a popular game, and that's a dangerous territory. And you have to be very careful of how you do those games. You can't do a Mario game escaping from monsters that can kill him. That's not a good idea. You can't do a first person, multiplayer shoot 'em up game with Metroid. That's not going to work. You can't make a cooking game with Kirby and then he eats all of it after you finish cooking it. You can't do that. Actually, that sounds pretty cool. A Kirby cooking game would be pretty cool. He cooks his stuff and, he uses power-ups to heat the stuff, but that's beside the point. So the moral of this episode is fans out there, don't be afraid to make the games that you care about. If you really want to make a Nintendo game, a fan-made Nintendo game, I say go for it. But at the same time, I want you to be aware of the chances of you getting far with it. If you want to make it alone and not show it to the world and just show it a couple of friends, awesome. But if once you put it out there for the public to see, be prepared to be shut down by Nintendo. Because Nintendo looks, and they look pretty hard, because some games can last for about a month before they get shut down. They can last for a couple of days. It just depends how big the public make it to be. And so just be very careful when you do that kind of stuff. My recommendation is maybe make that game, but don't put the Nintendo title on it. I know it's important that you're doing it based on a Pokemon game, but maybe say you're inspired by these games, but it's your game. Make a Mario game, but say I was inspired by Mario, and this is the game that did it. Make a great Sonic game. Make a wannabe Sonic game. Make a good wannabe Metroid game. I haven't seen anybody make a fan-made Metroid game yet. Do that and just say I was inspired by Metroid to do this game. But don't copy exactly what the game is, but make it your own, but just be influenced by them, And I'm saying that too, and it's funny because that's what developers do. They do it because, I was inspired by Castlevania and all this stuff. But they're getting a budget, right? And so as a fan, I recommend you to just be careful how you do these games and maybe look at games that maybe they don't get people at. Like I said, I play a lot of Sonic fan games. I don't see Sega going after them. I don't see Konami going after anybody. Capcom, I see Capcom going here and there, but I don't think they're that heavy. But Nintendo here, they're very careful about their properties. They love those characters. They want to take care of their characters. They want to take care of their property, and more important is their image. And they don't want anybody to ruin that image. As much as you love a game so much, they just want to make sure that people don't take it the wrong way, and that they want to make sure that their babies are being taken care of. And so, but what are your thoughts? Do you agree what I have to say, or maybe you disagree what I have to say? It's real simple. All you have to do is email me at the ingameoffice@gmail.com. You can always visit me on Facebook. You can always visit me on Twitter, and I'll put some questions up there. Tell me your opinions. Tell me your thoughts about it and everything like that. But that's not the only thing we do here on this network, okay? But first of all, I want to let you know you guys can always listen to our shows on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, or iTunes, and YouTube. But now we have a brand new announcement. And I forgot to say this in the update, but we're on Spotify now. So you can find the In-Game Boss program on Spotify. And to find all these shows, all you have to do is type in the In-Game Boss program, all of it. Okay, spaced out, all that. Type it all in. If you can type in In-Game Boss and you get that, awesome. But to get to everything, go ahead and type in the In-Game Boss program, and give our shout outs to all our other shows: The Game Halls Rivalries, Bond Never Dies, and Area 44. We love your support. We're just trying to push and get feedback. We're here to hear reviews. If you love it, please tell more people about it. Show your support. Show us your love. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear what you think. But we have more and crazy episodes on the way on this podcast. I can't wait to just go bonkers and just get fun with this podcast, because I think in the early of your podcast, if you decide to do a podcast for yourself, I always recommend people doing. I always encourage people to do. Your first episodes are always going to be kind of rough because you're trying to find your footing. And as long as you keep trying to find ways how you can find your structure, then the better. And I'm slowly learning that. And this is how it was when I did the Gamer Stand podcast. We were rough at the beginning. Then I start finding structures. Then I start finding my groove. And then we start just blasting off from there. And so definitely check out those shows. We would love to hear your support and everything like that. Don't forget just follow and subscribe to all our shows. But the cool part is you don't have to, because if you follow and subscribe to the In-Game Boss program, you get all the shows. This is a network, all the shows. You can listen to all. Our goal is, if you like one show, we recommend you listen to all of it. And to that, I will catch y'all on our next show. Stage clear. Let's go.